All right. So good evening, good night. I know it's late now, depending on wherever you are joining from. I want to sincerely appreciate you for joining today's webinar or tonight's webinar, as we call it. And this will be the last webinar that we are having in the Radiant Women Group Network community for the year. I understand that the year is wrapping up, drawing its curtains, and we want to end this year on a powerful note. Even though the year is ending, it doesn't mean that the things we haven't accomplished, that it is impossible for things to turn around a good corner. So we're going to explore a lot of things tonight, and that is to help us wrap up this year with wisdom and begin the coming year with clarity so that we have a sense of direction where we are going. So before I proceed, I know that both of you on this call right now, and maybe others who will join are from the community, they know me already. But if you are going to be watching this after now and you haven't met me before, and this is your first time of coming across me, let me introduce myself to you. So I'm Chinwe Maesian. I am a woman who is very passionate about other women. I have a heart to help other women navigate womanhood with a lot of clarity, knowing where they're going with purpose, with intention, so that at the end of the day, they would have lived a fulfilled life. So that is what I do. And my way of doing this is through this expression, the community that I have founded by God's grace, which is the Radiant Women Growth Network, which is a free community for people to access, and there are free resources. Nobody's charged anything for being part of that community. It's a place where women are encouraged to grow in every area of their lives by the contents that we post there and shared knowledge. Yeah. And another thing that is new that I also practice and express what I do through is Chess Radiant Life Consulting. By virtue of my training as a certified family life practitioner, I coach women as a life coach as well. And in Chess Radiant Life Net Consulting, what we do is help individuals, couples, families to live their lives on purpose, to heal from emotional wounds, because we offer private therapy sessions as well in our Chess Radiant Life Consulting. And in addition to this, I am a wife to my lovely husband, a mother to three of our amazing kids, and I also work full time as a clinical nurse specialist in the United Kingdom. So I wear many hats, okay? But this is my purpose, and I do it with so much delight. Now, I'll start sharing my screen while we wait for other people to join. I will just call that screen up and share it. Please let me know that you can see my screen. Um, yeah, don't know. I can see. Okay, bear with me, please. All right. I'm going to. Okay. So if you can see my screen, please let me know that you can see my screen and that you can still hear me. Yeah, because from this end, I might not be able to see you now because I'm sharing my screen, but I need you to help me let me know that you can see me before I proceed, okay? And that you can also hear me so that I know
Yes,
that. Okay,
we
thank you
can
very much.
see.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so today we're here to talk about Radiate Forward, and we're going to be discussing about vision systems that we can design to help us win as women. So what we're going to be discussing today, I've tagged this end of year webinar with myself. I know Radiate Forward is not a correct English word, but for the context of what it is, we are radiant women and we want to be moving forward in every area of our lives. And what we're going to be looking at today is, I think I've used the incorrect, what do you call it? We're going to, before stepping into 2026 with clarity and confidence, we're going to be looking at reviewing 2025. How do we review? Because before you start something new, you want to actually make sure that you have reviewed where you're coming from. That way you have a sense of direction as to where you are going. Okay. I have a bit of delay moving my slides. Let me see. Not sure why it will move to the next one. Okay. Yeah. So before I proceed, I have a little icebreaker here that I would like us to explore. So let's say 2025, this year that we're still in, is a book. What title would you give yours? So there are two of us here on this call. So, okay, I can see where now somebody else has joined. Welcome. So if 2025 is a book, what title would you give yours? So this is in a nutshell asking you what, in one word, how would you describe 2025? So I want to see responses in the chat. Tell me what you think, what title you would give 2025 if it was a book for you. So let me see responses. I know it's not a question you might have prepared for, but give it a try. There's no right or wrong answer. Just in one word, tell me. Share with us what. Okay, I have one response here. Okay. Oh, you guys you're singing from the same hymn sheets, Jane and PJ. So discovery, self-rediscovery. Absolutely amazing. Okay. So that's a really beautiful title for a book. And it shows that all in all, your year has been productive. If you've discovered yourself one way or the other, it means that you are ready to move to the next, you're ready to move to the next level. So tonight, the objectives for this webinar is to review and reflect on 2025, to gain clarity for 2026, to create a purpose-aligned vision, to learn systems that will help you win, and to build a blueprint for 2026. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So I'll move quickly. So I've got some quotes here for us to review as I call them, I've decided to call them, okay, just bear with me as I just move my screen about. So I've called them luminary thoughts. Yes, luminary means some things that illuminate, something that brings light. So read this with me and I would explain. Year's end is neither an end nor a beginning, but a going on with all that experience can instill in us. This is a quote by Hal Borland. What does this mean? When the year is ending, we think there's this hype. There's this thing about when 2026 comes, when 2025 comes, this is how my year is going to be. We make it sound as though there is a pause in between the year that is ending and the new year that is coming in. But we all know that the sun does not stop rotating. The earth, sorry, does not stop rotating around the sun. We also know that the clock does not stop ticking. Everything just continues the same way it has been. So when we're saying, this year will soon end, new year will soon begin, it doesn't mean in reality that there's an end or even a pause. There's nothing like that. It just continues. But what is the thing that really continues, is the experience that we have gathered from one year that we are now taking into the other as real life lessons for our growth. The next thought here that I would like you to take home today is what the new year brings depends a great deal on what you bring to it. And that's a quote by W. Arthur Ward. What the new year brings depends a great deal on what you bring to it. So when we go about our new year wishes, our new year goals, it sounds somehow to me as though we're thinking, this may the new year, even the wishes we share with ourselves. We say, may the new year bring you joy, happiness, and all that. And that is a lovely wish. That is a good wish for anyone. But the new year, as we know, is not a person. The new year is just another number of minutes, hours that will turn into days, that will turn into weeks, that will turn into months. And before you know it, the year is over again. Another one just continues. It just rolls over and carries on. So when we are making these wishes, it is important that we know and bear in mind, we recognize the fact that if we go into this new year just the same way we are, without proper planning, without clarity of vision, without clarity of our goals, it will just be like every other year. It will just come and go. That's what this quote is pointing at. So as we're wrapping up this year and stepping into the new one, what are those things that you want to, as 2026 is coming towards you, what are those things that you are taking towards and into 2026? Where are you going to meet with that year and say, okay, you are the new year, you have arrived. These are the things I have brought to you. Let's work together. That's the aim of what this is about. The next thought I would like you to think about is that the new year stands before us like a fresh chapter in a book waiting to be written. This is by an unknown author, but I found it very powerful. Whatever has happened in this year or in previous years is only a chapter of the book of your life. As the new year begins, this year ushers you into the new year. That is a fresh chapter. What next year will be like for you depends on what you write. So you have a blank script before you, a blank paper before you to start rewriting whatever it is in this year that you didn't find useful in this year. What is it that happened this year that you didn't find useful, that you wish to rewrite? What are the things that you think, okay, if this had happened this year, it would have been better? So let's move on. Why is it important for us to review and reflect before we move into the new year? Number one, it gives us clarity and direction. You are sitting down with the reality of what has happened to you, for you, with you in this year. And you're saying, okay, when I asked us the icebreaker, when I said, if this year was a book, what title would you give your book? Jane said, discovery. PJ said, self-rediscovery, if I'm correct. It simply just says that there's something about this year that you have learned. There are information about this year that you have gathered, or about yourself that you have gathered or uncovered this year that would be very useful to you in the coming year. You now have that clarity. As you sit down and review, okay, this was the area where I improved. Excuse me. This was the area where these are the things that served me this year. I will keep them. These are the things that didn't serve me. I'll let them go. Reflection and review helps you gather authentic information. It's not going to be a matter of then say, somebody told you. No. These are information about your journey, about your personal experience. When we review and reflect on what has happened this year, we gain transferable wisdom from the experiences of this year. I believe I've touched on that already. And then it gives us a renewed sense of hope and motivation for the future. So, okay, I haven't done well in XYZ area. Now I've learned what I didn't do right, and I'm going to try and do better. You see, that hope, that motivation of some of the things you've learned this year pulls you up to begin to believe in what is possible. So that is why it's important to review. So the essence of this webinar is to guide you not to just jump and follow the crowds to shout Happy New Year, and sit down and just write goals upon goals upon goals, New Year resolution without any sense of direction. That is what has kept a lot of people stuck. The problem hasn't been that people don't set goals, really, but how they go about setting those goals determines if they are going to actually score those goals. It's one thing to set your goals, it's another thing to actually score them. It's one thing to say, New Year will do this and that, but a new year actually needs a new year. What is that thing that you've been doing that hasn't been working? That is the place of review and reflection. So let's move on. I hope I'm making sense to you and that people can still hear me and see me okay. So let me know if you have any questions. Oh, Jocelyn said shine. Thank you for that. I've just gone to the chats to see what's happening there. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Let's carry on. So the next thing we're going to look at is how do you effectively review your year? So if you haven't done this before and you're thinking, how do I review my year? I'll just try and keep this simple because there's so much to cover in this webinar that I don't know which parts to take out and which parts to keep. But I will try my best to unpack what I can so that you can find tools that you can practically work with. So step one is prepare. You see, life needs to be lived intentionally. If you don't live your life within, if you don't live your life intentionally, time will just pass you by. And before you know it, we are counting years upon years of not achieving anything. Now, let's look at what we have here. So prepare. How do you prepare? You'd agree with me that the world is so noisy. We are all so busy. If you want to effectively prepare your year or review your year, pardon me, you need to take time away from the noise. You need to create that time where you say, this time is going to be me. It's going to be me and God and myself and the experiences that I've gathered from this year. I want to just stay still. There is power in solitude. I was reading this, one of the books I read this year is called Deep Work by Cal Newport. And in that book, he said deliberate practice cannot exist as alongside distraction. The moment you think you can achieve much within the noise of this world, even within our families, you have children, you have work to do. It's important that you create that time where you can just retreat, have your own personal retreat. You don't have to move from your house somewhere. If you can afford to do that, why not? If you can afford to, go to a hotel, go somewhere to stay, go to maybe the seaside if you're in a hot climate environment at this time, because where I am, it's freezing cold. I cannot go to the beach, even though I live in a seaside town at this time of the year, right? If I could, that's where I would be at this time. Or that is where I would like to go for my own retreat. Sit with myself, my journals, just find a corner for yourself, wherever it is, in your room. When the children are not there, find a quiet place and just stay there intentionally with your journals, with your notebooks. That is the first step. As you get to this place of retreat, the next thing you want to do is rejoice. You want to spend quality time in prayer and gratitude. Because the truth of the matter is, it's important that we recognize God's place as the pioneer of our faith, God's place as the owner of our lives. It's important. That's a very important thing. Whatever you're planning, whatever goals you're setting, if you don't have God at the center of it, you haven't started. So spend time, quality time. That is why I put quality time in bold. It simply means that you need that time without distraction to, somebody is annotating my screen. Is you need that time to get yourself into the space where you recognize and acknowledge God as the only source and controller of your destiny. And He has given you the power to be a co-creator with Him. And then pray. Pray a prayer of thanksgiving to God for the year that you were still in, that is still coming to an that's almost coming to an end. You want to spend time praying for the people God has brought your way, that you're still alive. Is something to be grateful for. There is so much, and you find that in this place of gratitude. So that's rejoice. So the next thing is renew. You want to renew your mind. You want to renew your thoughts. You want to renew your intention. This is how to lay the foundation for your review. Okay, so let's move. So, how do you collate the data to review your year? It's simple. So, as a person, you know what has happened to you. That's why you see, I said, one of the reasons for review is that it gives you authentic information. You're not copying another person's experience. It is your personal experience. You're looking into your achievements. You're looking into the challenges that you faced for the year. You're looking into pivotal moments. What time did this happen? At what point did you experience that self-discovery? What are those light bulb moments that you've experienced in the course of the year? You want to also look at your mistakes, your failures, and you can gather this information if you've been someone who's been journaling or you are into the habit of journaling, you will find all those useful information. Recently, when I was doing my own review, I have maybe like 5 different journals. I have a self-care journal, I have a gratitude journal, I have my goals setting journal. So I can't, the other two. Then I have my Bible study journal, and I picked all of them. Then I have a diary where I write some of my thoughts as well as they come, or all the things I've been building and working on this year. When the ideas come, I have a diary where I write all of them. So all of those things, I brought them together and I started flipping through them during my own personal retreat. And it's amazing what jumps at you if you've been in the habit of journaling. You would see the things that you cannot even remember anymore. They just jump at you, and you'll be amazed at how far you've come. That's my experience when I was doing my own review. Memorable moments. We have our mobile devices now where we have our photos, there are videos of lovely moments, things that have happened. Sometimes they might not be very happy things. Like sometime last year, if I was reviewing when I was reviewing my last year, I had my own sad moments where and I remember losing my dad and how bad it felt and all of that. Yeah, but it was still my experience. And I had to review that as well alongside when I was reviewing my year. Sometimes there are mobile applications, tracking apps that can track maybe your financial budget, your to-do list and different things, your calendars on your devices. You can look at all of that if you want to track more data about how you spent your time, what did you do, what professional courses did you take, different things like that. And also from external feedback, you want to ask trusted friends, family members, people who are your mentors, those who are your mentees, your colleagues at work, if they are, those ones that you get on with well. You want to ask people, what do you think about me? Do you think anything has changed about me this year? How much do you think I have grown in the way that I communicate, in the way that I manage conflicts? It could be your spouse. You can ask your spouse as well. Yeah, because I remember my husband and I reviewing our relationship and seeing how far we've come. The obstacles that we've had to go through and the growth that we have experienced so far. And we look at our weaknesses as well when we do this. So it's very good to get external feedback. That way you can mirror yourself from other people's lenses as well. So the third step is what I call sink into soul level reflection. So you don't want to do a shallow, shabby reflection. You want to sink yourself into the soul level. You want to go deep, 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 deep where nobody else can reach, except God, of course. So what do you do? In this place, you have practice guided reflections with structured questions and prompt. So for this, I'm actually working on one. Time did not permit me to finish it before this webinar, but I'm hopeful that before the end of the year, I would finish that and I will share it in the group as my end of year gifts to the community members so that you can use that to guide your reflection. I really wished I had done it before, but I'm just one person. So I know how to extend grace to myself and do what I can do part time. Right. So there are a lot of them. You can even design yours. If you go online, you can design a practice guided reflection guide that will help you know what kind of questions you should be asking yourself. But if you are not able to do that before I send the one that I'm designing, I'm creating, I would share with you and you can use that to help yourself. All right. So we look at identify patterns. So when you're in this place of deep reflection, what do you want to do? You want to identify your areas of strength, the areas you need to improve, the areas you need to grow, the areas you recognize the relationships and environment that have served you. The relationships that you know, this person, it was through this person that I managed to know about this book and I read it. This was the friend who helped me when I was in this XYZ situation. These are things you want to do. What environments helped you? What community did you find yourself? And rather than pull you down, this community helped you to grow. And vice versa, so that you know where to delete yourself. You know the relationships you need to edit and delete. And you know those that you need to carry into the coming year. Let go and let God. This is another place. I know that as human beings, people would offend us. And we as well might have offended other people as well. So it's important that we pay attention to forgiveness. If through the course of the year there are people who have hurt you and you feel so bad, do not carry that luggage into the coming year. Let it go. But sometimes forgiveness is hard. But bear in mind that it is first for you. You don't want to be bottled up in your own poison. You don't want to be wallowing in something that will destroy you. So you want to heal. And the first place is asking God to help you. Ask the Holy Spirit to help you let go of offenses, of hurt that you know would be like baggage pulling you down when you're trying to go up. And the fourth thing here is for you to bask in appreciation and gratitude. Remember, we talked about it. So you want to appreciate people. Don't stay and send all these broadcast messages that people are sending or stickers. Sit down and highlight those people who have played special role in your life in the course of this year. You want to send them customized messages. That is how a woman, a radiant queen behaves. You don't do shabby what other people do. No. Even if it's just a paragraph, but customize it in a way that it highlights what that person has done for you or how that person has played a remarkable role in your life. Today, I got home. I'm looking at this gift from where I'm sitting, but it's far away from me. If I need to get it, I have to get up from here. It's actually a hand knitted flower in a vase, a wool flower in a vase that a friend of mine sent to me. I got home and I found this box in my dining room. And when my daughter is always excited about gifts, and she picked it and jumped, she read the note on it, and it came from a friend who was appreciating me for the role that I've played in her life. And I read through those notes, and it was so heartwarming. I also have my own gifts that I've got that I'm going to give people who played vital role in my life. So you might not be able to give a gift, but if you have a phone, you can send a heartfelt message of gratitude to people who have played important role in your life. There is something magical about that. You want to also be grateful to God for every single blessing. And you can see in my slide that I said, even unpleasant experiences serve a purpose. God is a God that does not waste pain. Sometimes for some things to happen, he walks us through certain wilderness. Okay. So whatever it is, you want to also look into it and say, God, I know this experience is hurtful, it's painful, but I'm grateful because I know you allowed it to happen. And help me, if you are yet to see the purpose in that pain, stay in that place of prayer and ask God to help you find purpose in that pain. So let's move. What are the pillars for guided reflection? So when you get the guide, it's going to be something under these headings. Just in case you choose to design yours, you can actually sit with yourself and look at your spirituality, your spiritual life. How has it been? Where were you at the beginning of the year? And where are you now? Okay. So you look at personal, professional development, you look at your family life and relationships, you look at your health and wellness, career, if you're a career person or doing both, your business, your finances, income, savings, investments. Are you able to save at all? Are you not saving? Do you need to consider other sources of income? Also look at recreation. When I was creating this slide, I remember that during our own review, one of the areas that myself and my husband talked about that we need to work on is the area of recreation. We get so busy with life that we are gradually not taking out enough time to recreate, to just rest, to just go away. And that is something that we highlighted during our review. That's what review does for you. You don't want to just live life as if you're on autopilot. You want to have moments where you pause. And that is something that by God's grace, we are going to really be working on in the coming year. You want to look at your purpose, your impact, your legacy. Your life is not just about waking up, sleeping, going to work, earning money, eating, having children, being a wife. No, there's a purpose for which you are placed on this planet. That is also something to reflect on. Have you started working in your purpose? If not, what is keeping you stuck? What is holding you back? So you want to look at that as well. All right. So maximizing your review with purpose. When you've done all this review, how do you now make use of the data to create something meaningful that you can work with? As you review your data, you want to write down the insights you've gathered with meaningful intention. What does this mean to me? This relationship with this person that didn't work, and I want to end it. What does that mean to me? Am I learning that I need to be more intentional when I'm building new relationships? How did I contribute to the death of this relationship? How can I do better in the next relationship? You want to write whatever insights is jumping at you during your moment of reflection. Am I still talking to people? Welcome everyone who has joined us. Please let me know that you're getting value, so I'm not just rattling away. Let me know if you're getting value. What have you picked so far? At some point, I would have to pull my screen back so that I can just engage. But in the meantime, maybe when it's 1 hour, I'm going to pull my screen back. But let me know in the chat if what I'm saying so far is making sense to you. All right. Good. Okay. So thanks, Victor, for sharing that. So I would look in the chat again to know if anyone has added something else. So let's move on. So you want to acknowledge and celebrate your progress and achievements. So how has the year been for you? It might not have been great, but if you think well, you would learn how to think well. You will realize that there are things that have actually worked for you. No matter how small, you want to acknowledge those things that you've done. If you have learned how to forgive more, if you have managed to save, if you're someone who struggled to save in the past, but you've managed to save this year, no matter how little, celebrate that progress. Give yourself a pat on the back. Okay? So set strategic goals and build systems and structures. We'll get to this point to help you score those goals. And one thing with scoring goals is that sometimes we think it's too big. I can't dream this much because you're afraid that it didn't work for your parents. There's a pattern in your family. It has not worked for anybody in your family. Nobody in your family has done this. Nobody around you has done that. And you just shrink in doubt and fear. You don't want to do that. No matter what the data from your review and reflection of this year presents to you, do not let it, make you shrink. You want to say, yes, it didn't go as planned, but it can be better. Dream big. Don't shrink yourself. So do not let past failures limit you. You still carry inner light. Let it shine. And create your world with your mouth. So we all have power. We know that there's power in the tongue. As Christians, as children of God, we know that whatever it is that you want to see, that you did not see this year, or you've seen it this year and you want to see something much better in the coming year, you can begin to call it forth in faith. That is what you can do with the data that you have gathered. All right, let me see what someone else has put in here. I like that I can be still to hear God. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Rachel. All right, let's see what we have next. So I've just put here a few scripture references to help you. But there is promise for divine strength in Ephesians 3:16 and Philippians 4:13. I won't spend time on it, but you can take a screenshot and read. And if we know Habakkuk 2, chapter 2, verse 2 to 3, where he talked about write the revelation, make it plain on the table. Some of us know it as write the vision. So read that scripture. There's no time you talk about goals, vision as a Christian that you don't have to go and reflect this scripture. So I just decided to put this here as a guide. So we will touch on vision a little bit, but I'm not teaching the vision design here today. I do that in another course because of time. But this is a sample. If you look at this was actually my vision board 2 years ago. This one that is in green. Okay. So this was the first time as an adult that I was sitting down after I've gone through a 1 month course on maximizing my talents. And I remember my coach then asking me to draw a vision board and the way she taught it, she was like, if my vision board or the dreams I have on my vision doesn't scare me, then they're not big enough. So when she said that, I'm like, typical me, I was going to just think, I'm like, oh no, that's too much. That's too much. I can't do it. I can't do it. But because of what she said, I sat down. This is just a sample. I sat down and I just wrote all this 2 years ago. I still have this on my phone and I dug it up from my phone. I printed it out, pasted it at the corner of my bed where I could see it every day that I woke up. But at this time, I haven't written a book. I haven't even started the Radiant Women Growth Network. I haven't even started hosting conferences or doing anything. This is me 2 years down the line. I can tell you that this vision board practice works. I wrote these things when I didn't even know half of what I know today. And here I look at myself. These were the steps I wrote. I was going through this and I'm like, wow. I might not have gotten to the point where I'm a renowned and well sought after speaker yet, but I have spoken on several platforms and there's still more to come. I have founded a coaching academy. In fact, look at the name I gave it, the Radiant Life Coaching Academy. But that's not the name my consultancy, my coaching consults or business bears today. It bears a different name, Chess Radiant Life Consulting. But you see that there's that Radiant Life there. And I gave it that name without even coming back to look at this vision board. It's now that I'm just noticing that Radiant Life was actually in what I had on my vision. My third vision was to be a best-selling author of life-transforming books. I have written a couple, and there's still more to come. and they are transforming lives. Maybe not best-selling yet, but we're making progress. Does it make sense? Are you relating with what I'm sharing? So don't think that creating your vision is a far-reaching venture. It's something that only people who are at certain point levels in life do. This was a simple template that I picked up from Canva and wrote these things by myself in 2023. And this is 2025. I can tell you that everything on that vision I have done. I'm a founder of a community that is hosting this webinar by the grace of God. I am also the lead strategist and founder of a coaching consult firm. This takes consistency. It takes clarity of purpose. When they talk about these things, people think these things are just far-reaching. They are not. If you understand the strategies that you need to work, if you look at the steps, maybe I can't really stay on this to break this down in details. But if you see the steps I gave myself, the strategies of how I would achieve this vision or goals that I've set for myself, you would see that there are practical things that I could achieve. They're not things, and they're not rocket science things. And for all of it, I found myself mentors, I found coaches, I joined coaching academies. It cost me time, it cost me money, it cost me my attention, but excuse me, I have the results speaking. That is what intentionality is about. Even in a busy schedule, you can actually go after your goals. So just beside there, you can see this one. So whatever it is that your own vision and goals, these templates, you can find them on Canva. I know I've discussed Canva with the women in my community in the past. If you don't know how to use Canva, maybe we could have a session on that. But it's something that a lot of people can use today. You can go there and just find yourself. If you want the photo ones, my journal actually has a page where you can cut pictures from newspapers, from magazines, any part of the world you feel, oh, I want to travel to this place. I want to write book. The second vision board I did in 2024, I had pictures of becoming a renowned speaker. So I put Sarah Jacobs' picture on it. I have Michelle Obama as, I have some pictures on it anyway. The second one I did in 2024 and even this year's all have photos, but I haven't put them here on the slide. So this is just to show you what a vision board is like, and you can create one. So if you need any guide with that, or you try your hands on it, you can share it with me, and I would just look through it for you if you wish to. So that brings us to the end of this stage. I broke this into two parts, but I'm just going to call my screen back, and I will stop sharing so that I can see people. I can also get feedbacks. Thank you, everyone who has joined. Have you got value so far? Yes. Hope this first part is making sense to you. It's something that you find useful, that you can, yes, that you can adopt. So it's not enough to want to jump into the new year. It's important that you sit with yourself and give yourself honest feedback, not Facebook, Instagram feedback. No, sit with yourself. You are the one who knows the truth about what you've experienced this year, good or bad. Sit with it and follow these steps. Be grateful for the things that worked, for the things that didn't work, and glean the lessons from it. Okay. Thank you all for the feedback. If you are still with me, we can just run through the second part, which is how to now, when you have done your reflection and you've gathered, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Tisa. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Mary. Oh, thank you. I am glad that you're getting value. I know I don't want to take too much time. I was thinking if I stopped here, that means we would have to come back again. But let me just carry on. I will try and unpack what's left in the second part as much as I can. Okay, so let me share my screen again. All right, I've got part two. Yeah, okay. So I believe you can all see my screen now. Okay. Let me know that you can see my screen and that you can hear me. So this part, I have titled this goal setting, goal scoring, and systems design. It might not be something you haven't heard before, but it's just important that I touch on it as we thank you, PJ, thank you, Mary. Okay, so it's important that I touch on it so that it gives you a guide. Okay, so I won't be saying too much about goal setting because there's so much that is said at this around this time of the year about goal setting. In fact, usually when I teach it at the end of the year, I usually simply teach the SMART methodology. The last time I added something new that I learned to the SMART, I added ER, and that was smarter and ER. So if you remember what the SMART methodology is, you're familiar with it, just put the meanings in the charts for me. Let me see before I proceed. So you're familiar with the SMART framework or SMART methodology of goal setting. Um, please put the what the S stands for, the M, the A, the R, and the T, what it stands for. And if you were in my last year's goal setting class, you would see that I added ER to it. I'm waiting to read the charts. It's a very common goal setting framework that a lot of people know. We use it even in nursing. In my profession as nurses, we are taught the SMART goal setting framework in school. Yes. So if you, yes, does someone want to share that with us? I'm waiting to read it before I jump because we're dealing with a different methodology today. We're dealing with a different one today. Where are the people on this call on the call? Tell me what smart means so that I don't assume that everyone knows it. I believe it's common. Yes. So oh, so Jane picked the M. Jane, what's the S for? Or did I miss that? Okay. Oh, yeah. Well done. She's coming. Okay. So S is specific. M is measurable. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Agbeke Ogo or OGO. All right. So where are others? Tell us what the A, R, and T means before we proceed. Okay. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Let's make it fast. Quick, quick, quick. Thank you. Achievable, Victor. Thank you very much. Someone else is coming. Yes, this is achievable. That's absolutely correct. Oh, Mary gave it to us. Specific is now okay. Specific, measurable, achievable, timely. Yes, good. Or some people will say time bound. Yeah, that's still the same thing. Yeah, reliable. Yeah, that's good. Yes. And sometimes the R, others can say relevant. So it can be reliable, is it relevant? Yes, some can. So people just give it different, yeah, time bound, reliable. I remember one of my coaches teaching me the R as relevant because it could be reliable, but is it relevant to what you're doing? So that's another thing that the R stands for. Thank you all so very much for engaging. That's brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Realistic. That's another thing, realistic. So is it realistic? Can you achieve it? Yes. So that is the SMART methodology. We're all familiar with that. I know some people might already be familiar with the WHOOP methodology, but I thought this year I'm going to teach this one. Okay, so this one, as you can see on my screen, is a goal setting and mental contrasting strategy. And it was developed by a psychologist called Gabriel Oettingen. So, to design this to foster positive thinking um, about achieving goals, I think that my spelling there is wrong, is incorrect. Bear with me. I don't think I can correct that here now. Let me go back to that slide while realistically addressing challenges that may impede progress or keep you stuck. That's the unique thing about this particular one. You notice that with the SMART methodology, people set goals. Yes, this is specific to what I want to do. I'm specific, I want to lose 10 kilograms in 6 months, and you put all of those time bound and all that. But a lot of the times, people throw in the towel when they encounter obstacles and they have not planned ahead of time how to navigate this obstacle. They just give up or they throw in the towel and the year ends again and nothing has happened. That is the brilliant, beautiful thing about the WOOP methodology. Why is it different? I was going to explain that. It emphasizes on internal obstacles. So you sit with yourself and you say, okay, what are the emotional challenges that I have that could stop me from achieving the goals that I've set for myself? Are there certain beliefs that I have grown with, certain patterns, certain habits that I have developed? Let me use um, a typical habit that most of us in this technical age or technology age are familiar with is the habit of scrolling on social media. That is one habit that has robbed a lot of people of their precious time. A lot of people have plans, they have goals of what to do. But because of how much time, if you're in Nigeria, like me who is in Nigeria, I don't live in Nigeria, but I think I know everything that's going on in Nigeria. So in recent months, there's been all sorts of drama in Nigeria. And if you're not careful, you're someone who wants to know what is happening all the time. You just find yourself, because a lot of content creators jumped on all of these events, especially because they are events that had to do with marriages, families, and people spend so much time. And because of how this story, you want to know what's happening. If you are not disciplined enough, you would get into that habit of scrolling from TikTok to Facebook, from Facebook to Instagram, from Instagram to X. You will keep moving up and down. From there to WhatsApp statuses, you want to see what is happening in everybody's life. Before you know it, half of your day is gone. Half of your day is gone. Right. So, are there habits? The method is different because it helps you to introspect. It helps you to reflect inwards. What are the possible things that can be the challenges? Rather than you just looking outside, you have to look into your inwards first. Because if you can fix it here, you can most likely fix it anywhere. Another thing why this method is different or unique in itself is that it involves envisioning the positive outcomes of achieving a goal and recognizing potential obstacles to create a more realistic and effective process. It also fosters a more practical approach to goal setting than other methods like the SMART and the OKR, which is just objectives and key results. That's what that other one. That's another method completely that I'm not going to dive in today. So you would see where when I get into the details, we'll see how it helps us to envision. So when you can visualize, the power of visualization, when you're setting a goal, you're not just setting it on paper, but you can picture just that from that word vision. What can you see? You can picture what your life would be like, what you would feel like if you achieved that goal. When you paint that mental picture in your mind, it might take time, but gradually it becomes so tangible to you that you want to stay focused on achieving that goal. So that is one of the unique things about this method. So let's see. What does it mean? The W means wish. And this wish, for me, I prefer to call it goals. It says it's the starting point that represents your specific and meaningful goals. What do you want to achieve? I want to open a fashion business before July 2026. That's the meaningful goal. Are you setting a financial goal? Are you setting a health goal? Is it weight you want to lose? Is it relationship that you want to build? Is it the amount of money you want to save? All of it. Those are your meaningful goals. And that is what wish is about. And again, just like SMART, it says it should be clear, concise about what you want to achieve. You should be clear about it. It should not be vague. It should not be ambiguous. You want to use simple words because sometimes people sit to plan goals and they think they have to write it in plenty English. It just confuses you. Keep it simple. If you look at my vision board, it's just I would be this, I want to be that. No plenty grammar. Keep it as simple as you will find it easy to understand. You want it to be challenging. As much as we're saying it should be clear and concise, it should be simple. You don't want it to look like something you can just walk into your sitting room, fold your legs on the chair, and it will just happen while you're wrapped in a fluffy blanket, eating popcorn in front of the TV. No, it must be something that should cost you time. It will cost you convenience. It will discomfort you because that is how growth happens. Growth does not happen in places of comfort. You have to move away. So let it be something that will challenge you. Something that when you're doing it, you yourself, you know you're doing something. Well, even at that, let it be something that is within your reach, that is attainable. All right, so let's look at O quickly. It means outcome. Envision the positive outcome and benefits associated with achieving your goal. So I've set this goal for myself. I want to be awarded the most effective staff of the year. And I picture it in my head how I'm going to receive the email that I have been selected or nominated, I think that's the word, or nominated for this award that I have set a goal to win, right? Or to get or to achieve. And then I envision it in my mind, receiving the email and the invitation to this event, how when people are going to, my name will be called out, how I'm going to be dressed and walk to the podium to receive my award. That is what envisioning is. You're thinking about it, you're picturing it in your mind. You see the excitement that you will feel when you achieve this goal. That is something that will keep you focused and motivated because you have painted a picture. If you intend to write a book and you're thinking it's rocket science, you have a story you want to share with the world. How do you start? Picture your name on the cover of the book. That was how I started. I read a lot. I'm an avid reader, and I just thought, I don't think I have the time. I don't think I have what it takes to write a book that I was just belittling myself. I'm somebody who struggled a lot with self-limiting beliefs. I recovered from it by force, right? That's why I'm helping people do the same. You imagine yourself, the cover of the book, your name as the author on the cover of the book, your photo at the back as about the author. You paint those pictures in your mind, whatever it is. If it's about your weight and you're thinking, okay, I want to trim down to a size 15, you start picture yourself in size 12, 10 clothing. If that is something you fancy, you want to be a renowned, whatever, picture it. That's what outcome is talking about. Think about the objective, envision it, imagine how you would feel. And beyond your feelings, how does it impact your life? This goal that you're setting for yourself, how would it make your life better? And not stopping with you, how would it make other people's lives better as well? Because a woman of purpose, you don't just live life for yourself, around yourself. And then the other O stands for obstacle. That is the unique thing, remember, about the WHOOP method. The SMART method will tell you everything specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, realistic, relevant, time bound. Well, this part is missing. And that is the part where people just drop the ball because they never thought about what if I experience this challenge? I know sometimes someone will say, why will I be thinking of challenges where I'm thinking of something positive? But the truth is, we live in a world that is not perfect. Our world is imperfect. God didn't promise us that we'll go through the world without trials, without challenges, without temptations, right? But what did he do? He promised us that while we're going through these situations, he is right there with us. So you want to consider, think, what could be the possible challenge? For me, a lot of the goals that I set for myself, I know that one thing is a challenge that I've fought with: time. Because I live in a country where me and most of the women we live here, most of you in Nigeria or in Africa, you've heard the stories about living in the Western world. Back home, you could easily afford to pay someone to support you with housekeeping, support you with child minding. But if you live in a country where you do not have those resources accessible, easily accessible to you, you are going to struggle with managing your time. Imagine working full time and you come back, you have to be the one to, sit down, listen to your children, depending on their ages. Some of them, you have to bathe them, you have to clean them. That's someone who have gone and done a 12-hour work, or you do a 7.5-hour work for 5 days a week. And you come back over the weekend, you're dealing with your children, you're cooking, you're shopping, you're cleaning. It can be a lot, especially for women. I know men have their own too as well. So I know that time is something that I need to really sit down and intentionally block my time for everything that I do. Set appointments on my calendar, set alarms to remind me. If not, it's going to be difficult. So I plan ahead because I know that that is a challenge that I'm likely to face. I'm not seeing the new charts that are coming up anyway. But yeah. So you want to identify, acknowledge the potential obstacles and challenges that might arise and stand in the way of you achieving your goal. It could be lack of resources. I want to do this, but money is a challenge. How do I raise the fund for this thing that I want to do, for this goal that I've set for myself? You want to be honest. Being aware of your real life situation is very important, because the greatest lie you can tell is the lie you tell yourself. So you want to be truthful to yourself because you're the one who understands what life is dealing you, your journey with life, right? So, yes, that's essential when you're thinking about the obstacles. And the P is plan. That's where you now have to sit down after looking at setting your wish, which is the goal. You have looked at the outcome, which is the objective for you. What would it be like? What is the achieving this goal going to mean? What would it feel like for you? What are the results that you want to see? And you look at the possible potential obstacles that you may encounter. You may not encounter them, but what if they happen? Plan means that you need to develop a concrete and realistic plan for overcoming the identified obstacles. I want to go to this place. What is the possible thing that might happen? How will I plan to navigate this obstacle if I encounter it? If you don't, all good and nice. But if you do, you're already prepared. For me, this is like being proactive. You're already taking proactive action. You're taking a preventive measure, not waiting until things now start going south. You then now start thinking of plan B. You already have plan B from the get-go. You may need it, you may not need it, but it is there. So you're not panicking when you encounter the obstacle. You already know that, okay, this way doesn't work. I would do this. So that's why it says create. If this doesn't work, then what I will do this. That's just what this if-then statement means. That outlines specific actions that you would take when faced with challenges. I'm running now. So there's a science behind this WOOP method that I would not probably be able to explain in details here, but there's something about the parts of the brain that this method of visualizing the outcome and also identifying potential obstacles, the combination of these two key parts of the WOOP method or model helps you to align self-regulation and the pursuit of your goal. It also helps you to maintain focus. Okay, this is what it will feel like if I achieve this goal. So I want to keep going. I know there might be obstacles along the way. This is what I plan to do if I encounter them. That way, when you encounter them, you're not just saying, oh, why did this now happen? Your mind is open that you expect everything to move smoothly and positively. But in the event that life happens, mistakes happen, what would you do? So the science behind it focuses on the part of the brain. There is this group of regions of the brain that are associated with motivation, and it's called the mesocorticolimbic system. It has the frontal cortex there, it has the amygdala, it has there are different parts there that, let me not start my science jargon here, but there are different parts that creates that region. I just love the brain. It's such a beautiful organ. Every time I study anything about the brain, it just interests me and fascinates me how amazing and phenomenal that organ is. So a lot of the things that we do, they are controlled by regions in our brain. And one thing for people who have read my book, I shared about the neuroplasticity of the brain, the ability for the brain is plastic. Many years ago, they thought that if the brain cells die, or if something happens to the brain, it cannot regenerate, it cannot rebuild itself. But recent science digs in and realizes that the brain can actually rewire itself, can restructure itself. But it will not do that automatically. It will do that with the things that you feed it with. The information, the thoughts that you align your brain with gradually would help to build new neural pathways that will give certain things that have settled in your mind, in your brain, as negative meanings. You can begin to restructure and rewire those things with the things you feed your brain with. So I'm just saying this for context that after praying, after thanking, after making your goals, it's important that you renew your mind. Remember, we talked about it. You want to you want to pay attention to the things that you're feeding your mind with, to the things that you're opening the gateways of your heart to, the things that come in through your eyes, through your ears. You want to pay attention to those things. Your environment. And the science behind this also explains that this method involves mental rehearsing of the positive outcome and actions to overcome obstacles. So when you already know that, okay, this is how beautiful it would be if I walked on this podium to receive my award and I just bring it back, show it to my friends, my husband. In fact, me, myself, that have achieved this thing, this is just an example. Yours can be something different. I'm just using this as an example. So whatever your own wish is, you want to walk around it with this method and see how you break it down. Paint that mental image of what achieving that goal would mean for you. And when you know that, okay, this thing is not a life or death situation. If I encounter an obstacle, this is what I intend to do. So you don't back down because you've encountered an obstacle. You try and bring your plan B into, you swing into action, get your plan B into gear, fix it, move on. If it doesn't work, you have tried and you carry on. Okay. So let's see the next thing. How do you then write your WHOOP goals? So you've been writing SMART goals. So we're writing WHOOP goals this year. You can still use SMART if that interests you. But this is what okay, the brain can be, actually, yes, it can be. Thank you, Victor, for that. So how do you write your WHOOP goals? Be specific and realistic. You see that the things that are in SMART are also here. Your goals should be achievable. Consider your resources. Set goals, but know, okay, this is what I can afford between this period. There are things that I wish I could do, let's say before I relocated, but considering resources at the time, I couldn't do them. They were in my goal list. I had them on my goal list. But when I could then do them, I picked them up. So break your goals down. Know what you can achieve within certain periods of time. Check your current abilities. What does the time you have available, what does it afford you? It's like me now, who is a mother of three, living, living in a place where I'm really trying my best, like so many of my friends, to look after her family while keeping a full-time job and doing impact as well. I will not get up and say, you know what, I want to change career today. One of my goals is that I want to become an air hostess. Yeah. So, how do you think that goal sounds? I can't just do that. I have children to look after. I have a family to look after. That does not sound like something that would help me in this season of my life. It's just going to create problem for my family. Yeah. So you want to vividly visualize the outcome. Take time. This thing might take time as you're visualizing it. If you're not someone who has been doing this or practicing meditation, mindfulness, visualizing your goals, it might take you time to come get into the rhythm of mastering this art. So give yourself time. Continue to get yourself in that place where you have your mindful meditation and you're visualizing yourself achieving your goals. It takes time, but it will help you enhance your emotional outcome because it gives you that motivation, that joy, that happiness that I want to continue to drive at this thing because the end is actually beautiful. So prompt honest questions, honest reflections on obstacles. We've talked about this, being honest with yourself, being aware of your current situation. Ask yourself open-ended questions that would help you dig into yourself, your inside, the depths of your soul, and ask yourself questions. Is this thing something I can really do? Formulate your plan. Focus on actionable steps, contingency plans if things don't go as planned. Work on your weaknesses. We all have that area of us, that part of us that we need to work on. And that is part of growth. Growth is not an end. It is a continuous journey. As long as we live on earth, there will always be room for us to improve on so many things. And that shows that, that's the reason that we keep talking about growth. So we get better and better. So how do you build systems that help you score your goals? I've just put here a popular scripture for us, Proverbs 29, verse 18, where it says, where there's no vision, the people perish. You need a vision. You need something to look forward to. You need clarity of direction. Where are you going? So it's not enough to sit down and just set goals without direction. Finding your vision. What is that big picture? Where are you headed in life? What do you want to be known for in life? What is that big picture about Chinwe Essien that I see? That is what the starting point. Have a vision. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, clearly tells us that if you do not rise to the level of your goals, or you fall to the level of your systems. So your goals will not just be there for you to just keep stretching to them, but you achieve your goals by the level of systems that you set for yourself. He simply says the whole summary of his book is that those little habits every day count. And just to keep it simple, create routine around your life. I know most of us on this call are women. We are too busy, but we need to create time intentionally for our lives. Enough of just anywhere belle face. You wake up anyhow. Today I cannot. No. If that has been your story in 2025 and you've written goals, because if I ask most of us where our goals are now, by the time we bring it and look at it, some of us maybe have not even achieved half of it. Some of us may not even remember where we documented them anymore. That is why you need a vision before you. If you're looking at that big picture, you have a vision board before you where you have put, these are the key things. And you don't need too many things. You can just have maybe 3 things, 4 things, 6 things that you want to focus on in this year. Sometimes it's writing too many goals that is the problem for many people. But if we can keep it simple, it helps. Create routines. How do you start your day? For me, I realize that early hours of the morning is a very, very useful time for me. Half five, my family children are still sleeping, even though they go to school, they start waking up by half six. Our older son wakes up by half six. Half five, my alarm has rung. I'm awake. I have read I have read the book I have that I'm reading for the month. I can read a chapter of a book before I get out of bed. I have written what I want to do, read my devotional, do certain things by that morning, even write, if I'm writing a book, when I was writing my book, I write like 500 words every morning before I even get out of bed or by my bedside table in my room. If I want to get out of bed, I get out, but I make sure I write at least my target was writing 1,000 words every day. And every morning I would do 500. If I could do more than that, on the day that I'm not too tired and I had a very good night's sleep, I could do more than that. And any day I have if I get the momentum to just carry on, I can do more than as much as, especially over the weekend. So how is your morning like? Do you think that you can wake up early before there's noise around you to achieve certain things in the morning? End of the day, when you have gotten the children have gone to bed, maybe your spouse is settled, you want to take maybe 1 hour before bedtime. How do you start your day? You want to start your day meditating. You want to start your day with that solitude of thinking and generating productive thoughts. And you want to end your day powerfully to, okay, how do I reflect? What has happened today? And how do I take the lessons from today and carry them into tomorrow? So these are things, little habits that helps you achieve your goal. It doesn't have to be a one big time act, tick, and your goal is done. No, it starts from those little routines, those little habits every day. When you're sitting on the bus, what do? You have a book on your phone. When you're waiting on the queue for your turn, you have a book on your device. Can you read that book that time? Sometimes when I call my siblings sometimes is when I'm taking a walk back from the hospital. If I'm driving, I can put it on speaker and I know, okay, I just don't want to drive home and waste these few minutes. I want to use it to do something. Other times, if I don't have someone to call, I listen to a podcast. I'm walking to work, I'm listening to a podcast. You can listen to an audio book. So you don't have time to read, you don't have time for this. There are pockets of time that are just being wasted if we look deeply, and we'll be able to manage our time better this year, coming year. We can start from today. Don't wait for 2026. Like I said, it's not an end or it's not the beginning of a new era. It's just a continuity of the experiences that life instills in us. You want to reinforce good habits. Those habits that have worked for you this year, you want to reinforce them. The ones that did not work for you, you want to get rid of them. If you need to cultivate new ones, why not? Add new habits, new helpful habits to the already good ones that you have existing. Accountability. Cannot emphasize on this one enough. I cannot emphasize on accountability enough. Let me see what's in the charts. Yeah, okay. Yetunde said has is procrastination. Thank you for sharing that. I know a lot of people struggle with that, but once you have your vision, and one thing that really helped me, I must say, in this on this webinar is accountability. Whatever you're doing in life and you are not accountable to anybody, you don't belong to an accountability community. Some of them are free communities. Some of them you have to pay. I have moved from being in free accountability groups by God's grace to being in accountability groups where I pay money. So some of them I do yearly subscription for. Some of them maybe, like when I was writing my book, I knew I was going to have excuses here and there that I'm too busy, I'll come back tired. What did I do? I joined an accountability group. I joined a group where I paid money. It was not cheap. So I had a writing coach, and there were other women who were mothers like me who also were writing their books. So every day we have to take a screenshot of the amount of words you have written for the day. So you were being tracked. Someone was keeping an eye on you. I was accountable to someone. Up till now, I have coaches that I'm accountable to. So if you're running your life on autopilot, you're not accountable to anyone, you might struggle, except you're extremely disciplined. But if you're like me, that knows that you need someone to be keeping an eye on you, you need someone on my own. When I was single, I had so much time and I can be very disciplined. But when you become a mother, you have so much to do for family, you have so much to do for siblings, you have so much to do for friends. And I now have a lot of mentees, clients. It's a lot. So I need to actually say, someone, please hold my hand. And when I'm straying, call me back. Someone you want to run to and say, I feel stuck. Can you please help lift me up? Find yourself accountability partners. Find yourself accountability circles. And that is something that I might be building next year. I haven't created that yet, but it's not going to be free. It's going to be a mentorship group where I want to hold people by the hand. If you start what you do, I have courses, and that will only be for people who go through my courses, so that I must have taken them through the phase of identifying their vision, their purpose, their values, all of the we've done. We are clear on the foundation before I can start mentoring you. So I'm not having to teach you all that separately. So you have to do the course first and then be able to get into my mentorship. All right. And consistency is key. It's important that when you start, I know it's not easy. I am there, not I have been there. So I do recognize and acknowledge that these things that we're saying is not as easy. Yeah, that is why accountability is very important. There are things that I've started, and sometimes when I take pauses in between to assess and reevaluate what I've done, my goals. So don't wait until you set a goal in January and you wait until December before you begin to evaluate your goals. No, you want to take breaks. If it's weekly that works for you, every week, end of the day, end of the week, have that pauses where you check this thing that I plan to do. Am I actually in, am I moving in that direction? Am I really getting to where I'm going bit by bit? All the things I've been doing so far this year, are they taking me closer to where I'm going? All right. So it's important. And that way you can stay consistent. And consistency doesn't mean you have to show up at the same capacity every day, but make sure that every day you're doing something, no matter how little, to take you closer and closer to your vision. All right. So we are rounding up now. I cannot find okay, I've seen it now. Found it. So with this, I hope that I've been able to help someone gain some clarity with what to do with 2025. Don't throw it away. No matter how bad it has been, it's not a wasted year. Every experience that you've had in this year has shaped you, is part of your story. You want to own it. You want to glean the lessons from it. You want to gather information from it that would help you even as you step into the coming year. So as we round off, I would like us to take these declarations. If you're here still with me, I want to thank everyone who has stayed so far, because I really, really tried not to extend this. I know it's late into the night, but I needed to touch on these things. Right. So we can unmute ourselves if we're still here and take this declaration with me. It's just something for you to declare and think about. As you step into 2026, I move with intention. In 2026, I walk in clarity. In 2026, I build with wisdom. In 2026, I honor my identity. In 2026, I rise and radiate forward as the purpose-driven woman that I am becoming. And as you have declared it, so shall it be. Amen. So in conclusion, I just want to part with these words. As the year draws to a close, take time to look back and assess how far you've come. Be proud of your achievement, however small, they are still significant. And then look forward to chasing your dreams next year, using the lessons learned to positively shape your future. May 2026 be your best year yet. Thank you also very much for listening. It's been an amazing time having you all here. Thank you. Okay, so can I get feedbacks? Well, how has this class been for you? I was trying to make sure we don't get into the next hour. You are welcome. You're welcome, Tissa. I hope you're taking value from the class. You're welcome, Rachel. Amen. I hope you got value. You've got something to work with that would help you to end this year powerfully and to also start next year on a phenomenal note. I know and I trust that next year will be a great year for you. But like I said, don't throw this year away. There's still so much that you can take out of this year. There's still so much that is possible in this year. Thank you, Mary. Very impactful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jane. You're welcome. Ernestina, thank you. God bless you too. Thank you, everyone. So um, take these lessons with you. Create out time, block your calendar for your reflection and review of this year. Before you jump into 2026, here we come. Do justice with 2025. Make use of what has happened to you this year. Okay? And see you at the top. See you at the top because that's where you belong. That is where you belong.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. You're welcome. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Feel free to ask me any questions you have. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm grateful that you showed up. Yes, because you made it happen. If you were not here, I wouldn't have shared with myself. All right. Thank you, Jane. I love your resilience. Thank you. Also, Mary, I've drawn some strength to deal with procrastination and feelings of incapacity. Yes, please don't feel that. I know it feels that way, but don't. And I'm available, really. I'm busy, but I've in the communities, I've shared a link where people can book um 30 minutes clarity session with me that is free. So I can block out some of my time to um engage with people who are seeking direction. But like I said, there's a course. I will share the reviews of that course. When I had that course, I tried it for the first time in January. I called it the Identity and Purpose Clarity Bootcamp. It was for 5 days. And a number of women from the community joined that course. I have reviews. There are 3 video reviews from members of the community who were in that course. I just didn't have time to repeat it this year. But I'm hoping that in January, the flyer is out. I have shared it. That course is packed. If you're in that place where you're like, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing, it is one course that will help you. Everything I do today, I'm a nurse by profession. I didn't learn from nursing school. There are some things that you will not learn from the 4 walls of the university, but there are things that would help you make impact. Because at the end of the day, like I usually say, my job is what I'm paid for. My purpose is what I am made for. There's something you are made for. And it's not the same thing. Eventually, that thing that you are made for, you will be paid for it. When I put that course out there, besides my book, it was the first thing people were paying me for. And I'm this person who doesn't know how to charge people. I don't want to pay. I'll say everything I'll just do free, free, free. It took my mentor to start telling me these free things you are doing. How are you going to recover the money for doing all those things? Hosting conferences, hosting things were costing a lot of money. But I was just doing them. But I tell you, my purpose is paying me, and it has a lot of potential to still pay me. So whatever I teach you is not something I just read off the books, it's the life that I'm living. So you too can discover your purpose, especially if you are single, you still have time. You still have a lot of time to to do so much before while you are waiting for Mr. Right. Now is the time to discover your identity your purpose, so that when you are getting married, the man comes to meet that you're already living in your purpose. Not when you tell him, I'm just a admin staff. Then inside the marriage, you now say, God has called me to become this, to become that. Not everybody will be able to run with that. And you might not know that this man would have issues with it. So if you are single, this is the right time. The course is available. Anybody who is interested is not free, like I said, because this is me. I'll be taking out my time to take you step by step, analyzing your vision, your purpose, helping you know what your niche is, who you are called to, what you should be doing with your life. And that is what keeps you on your path. So you're not looking at this A is doing this, you run to that side. This person is doing this, you run there. You just stay on you just focus on your focus because you have clarity. You know what you're doing. You just stay on that path. So thank you so much, everyone, once again for being here. I celebrate you. I honor you. The world cannot wait for your light. Please don't let anything dim your light. Do not. And if at any point you feel that you need to talk to someone, send me a message. I usually try my best to respond. But of course, I don't want people to abuse my private space and my time. And I know you are women of great virtue. Yes. So thank you and God bless so much. So we're going to end the recording here for tonight.